Just to the north of Highway 15 and to the west of the town of Remington. This is along Highway 522 as well. Again, this is a thunderstorm that is tornado warned, and it will be moving off to the north and east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Putting this into motion, you can see that thunderstorm really starting to move in here from the south and west. So Culpeper, that's going to put you under the threat again for a potential and possible tornado. Right now, this is just radar indicated rotation, so nothing has been confirmed, nothing is on the ground. But what that means for you is you need to start to go ahead and take your tornado safety precautions, and that means we need to start to gather up the kids, gather up the pets, and move it into an interior room away from windows and try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, this is a tornado warned storm for the city of Culpeper and parts of Madison counties. Outside of that, we have the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect. That's a little bit larger for that area. That also includes parts of Fauquier, Orange, and Madison counties as well. This is going to be for that same thunderstorm with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and as well as some hail up to the size of nickels. You can see that polygon box a lot larger. That includes Locust Dale. We've already had the heavy rain, so Locust Dale, we are in the clear now. For Culpeper, Remington, that's going to be the severe thunderstorm warning that continues again for until 1 p.m. Later this afternoon. Warrenton, we are not in the warning box yet, but it heads up to Warrenton. This thunderstorm is moving at 45 miles an hour in your direction. So as we put a storm track on this, we'll bring it up to Warrenton and give you an estimated time of arrival of when this storm could be. Again, for places like Warrenton, 12:51 p.m., that's the radar estimating the storm's arrival for the town of Warrenton. Remington, expecting that storm to be there at 12:41 p.m., and for some of those other spots, anywhere from now all the way till 1 o'clock. Looks like Linton Hall, we could see that thunderstorm there as well if it holds together. We have a good environment for these thunderstorms to survive. We have the warm, moist air, we have the winds here at the surface, and the winds up aloft that are turning with height. So that's why we can see sometimes these little bit of areas of rotation in the thunderstorm, and that can happen when we get all these dynamics in play throughout the afternoon and with the setup of the storm system. Again, the severe weather threat will continue for the afternoon. For the D.C. metro area, we are currently quiet, still tracking a few spotty showers around Potomac Falls, Reston, Fairfax, up towards Gaithersburg. No severe weather is currently happening across the D.C. metro area. That's going to change, however, in the next hour and a half to 2 hours from now. We'll take you back to that tornado warned storm just for now because it is smaller than that severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll take you again into street level view just to call out a few smaller towns and communities. This will be near Boston, Virginia. We've got El Dorado. Excuse me if I mispronounce some of these town names. I am new to the area, but again, this is a tornado warning for these spots, and we want to make sure you're taking your tornado safety precautions. If you're just now joining us, a tornado warning is in effect for parts of Culpeper and Madison counties until 1 p.m. That includes the communities of Homeland. We have Oakshade. That's Highway 229 down toward Catapla, as well as Culpeper and Cardova. Some of those small communities, tornado warned storm is in effect, and that will continue until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's get a look at the rotation on this as well, because that will help us better see where that area of rotation is. And what we look at for the product of the radar we're seeing here, this is known as velocity. We're looking at some of those greens and darker reds starting to get close together. Right over Highway 29, this will be just to the west of Culpeper, a little bit of radar indicated rotation with that thunderstorm. That's why the National Weather Service decided to issue that tornado warning, because we are seeing that radar indicated rotation. That's going to continue at least until 1 o'clock with this thunderstorm that will move farther off to the north and east. Again, highway speed, 40 to 45 miles per hour. We saw the severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect until 6 p.m. The tornadic thunderstorm, which has prompted the warning, has moved out of the warned area, so it looks like we are now dropping parts of that tornado warning. So Madison County, we are no longer under the tornado warning. We're now just looking at parts of Culpeper County, again, just to the west of the town of Culpeper. That's going to be for that storm there. Highlighting that radar indicated rotation. Let's see if we can draw it on here. This is just right over Leon, Highway 29. That's where we're seeing some of that radar indicated rotation on the southwest side of that tornado warned storm. That's where we're going to see the best area of rotation. You see a few lightning bolts showing up, so it is loud out there. And again, with this continuing until 1 o'clock, this will move farther off to the north and east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. We'll draw a storm track on this as well, just to give you an idea of where this rotation will head, again, over the next 30 minutes. Looks like that's how much longer we have with this tornado-warned storm. Again, moving very quickly, 40 to 45 miles per hour. A lot of energy out there, a lot of speed with these thunderstorms. As we take this farther off to the north and east, that could put it in some of these areas. Again, this is radar estimated time of arrival. So Norman, I'm going to call this out, 12:37 p.m. We have Egbornsville, 12:44 p.m. too. Again, if I mispronounce some of these towns, I apologize. I am newer to the area. We have Rickyville School, that's 12:45 for the area of rotation. Korea, 12:50. And it looks like we have Lakota at 12:52 p.m. That's for the radar indicated rotation. No indication still that this is on the ground. This is just radar seeing some spin in the atmosphere. So if you do look up, you might see some of the clouds spinning. However, we don't want you to be outside because we want you to be in your tornado safe zone, because at any moment this could drop out of the sky and then it would become a confirmed tornado. So tornado safe zone, what does that mean? That means put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Interior room, away from windows. Bring the kids, bring the pets, bring everybody inside to that room, like a bathroom or a closet. That's where you'll want to stay until you get that all clear. If you have a smartphone or an iPad or a laptop that you can watch our live stream, take it with you. That way we can let you know when the all clear is. Otherwise, know that 1 o'clock, that's when the warning is expected to expire with this tornado-warned storm, again at 1 p.m. this afternoon. So monitoring things still, that's the only tornado warning in effect for the area. And we still have the severe thunderstorm warnings that we are tracking as well as we go into the afternoon. Siri trying to talk for me right there as well. All right, here's the severe thunderstorm warning. That still continues until 1 o'clock, so the same spots. You don't get the tornado threat. You're going to get the winds. That's for this entire area shaded in that orange until 1 p.m. Winds up to around 60 miles per hour. That's, again, all those spots in the orange shading. That red box there, that's the tornado warning as we move this over farther to the west. We can see that there. So Washington, we're not in the warning box. Warrenton, we're not in the warning box just yet. Locust Dale, we're still under the warning technically, but the main action of the storm has already moved past Locust Dale. So Locust Dale, we are about to be in the all clear. Culpeper, again, the entire town not in that tornado warned zone, but parts of the city, northwest side, that's where we're seeing the tornado warning continue until 1 o'clock for radar indicated rotation. That's what's happening right now across the area. So you can see, again, the leading edge of that storm continues. We've just crossed Highway 522 as that moves farther to the north and east here, up Highway 229. And we're going to see Monumental Mills. That's also under the tornado warning until we get to 1 o'clock this afternoon. Checking for some more updates from the National Weather Service. It looks like the rotational component of the storm has tightened briefly, but appears to be broadening out. So we will likely be transitioning now into more of a damaging wind threat. So what that means is these spin-ups can happen very quickly. Okay, we have winds in the atmosphere that are going in a different direction than the winds here at the surface. At the surface, we have a south wind. In the upper levels of the atmosphere, we have a southwest wind that causes changing of the winds, also known as shear. And when you get shear in the atmosphere, that is what causes these storms to rotate. And typically what happens is they are weak in nature. So if we do get a confirmed tornado, it is typically weak, not strong, it is short-lived. That doesn't mean the threat or the precautions that we need to take are any less than a long-track tornado, but still that's what the indications are right now with the setup that we have currently with all the dynamics in the atmosphere. Again, we're not expecting long track tornadoes, but as I've mentioned all morning long on WJLA 24/7 News and 7 News, that we do have the tornado threat. Very low, but it's not zero. It is a very low tornado threat for this afternoon. Let's go ahead and get an overall view of what we're looking at still. The severe thunderstorm watch continues until 6 p.m., so that includes the Baltimore metro areas, the D.C. metro areas, Richmond farther to the south, I-95, so you can see the leading edge of that line of thunderstorms. That's going to continue to move in our direction as we go throughout this afternoon. Again, tornado warning continuing until 1 o'clock. Same with that severe thunderstorm warning. Let me turn the boxes off. We'll put this into motion so that we can see the pictures a little bit better as these storms move farther off to the north and east. Again, 40 to 45 miles per hour. So they're moving very quickly. And what that means is that these storms will be in, they will be out of here. So we like fast-moving storms because that means the threat does not last too long. But that also means when the storms arrive, they are going to pack a punch with those gusty winds, the low tornado threat. There could even be some embedded hailstones, maybe hail up to nickel or quarter size. Currently, that's what's being indicated along the leading edge of this line as it moves closer toward the D.C. metro area. Speaking of the metro area, we don't have any current warnings right now, just tracking a few light showers toward Gaithersburg, out toward Fairfax, Tysons, farther to the south down I-95. Give it an hour to 90 minutes, and that's what we'll be looking at. And it's very possible we could have a tornado warning in effect for the D.C. metro area if this line continues with its current behavior with some of the weak radar-indicated rotation. That would be the recipe too. Again, get maybe an isolated tornado possible as we go into this afternoon. So we're going to stay on the air here until we get into 1 o'clock. In fact, we might be able to get off a little bit early if we can see that the radar indicated rotation continues to get a little bit broader and a little bit more weak. Again, these are tornadoes that are weak in nature. They don't last long, and a lot of the time they don't even fall to the surface. They don't even touch the ground. So mainly they're just funnel clouds, or they're parts of these thunderstorms that are embedded with little directional shear changes. That's what we call changing of the winds. You can get all those kind of dynamics in play with these thunderstorms, and again, weak tornadoes are possible with the setup that we have. Looks like the tornado warning, or the severe thunderstorm warning, excuse me, has just updated. You see it flashing there. So it looks like we just have an update on that. Still keeping the tornado possible tag. That's going to go still until 1 p.m. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, and the hail threat still very low, anywhere from nickel size up to quarter size as we go into the rest of the storm. So I think we're going to probably get off the air here just for a little bit because nothing has changed right now. So we'll send it back to programming. If any new updates with this tornado warning arrive, we will jump back into programming to let you know. But for now, that is a tornado warning. That continues until 1 o'clock for Culpeper. Any changes, we will let you know right here on 7 News. Stay with us on our website and on our social media apps.
Catalpa, and Cordova in the next little while as well. This goes in effect until 1 p.m. So we still have another 22 minutes with this tornado warning. Again, the broader area under a severe thunderstorm warning also until 1 p.m. So a lot going on, a lot to track with this. But we notice very prominently, I can stop the radar real quick right here. We see that kind of curl back, if you will, of this storm. The entire thing's a squall line. I'll zoom out a little bit for you real quick. So we see this whole thing takes like the format of an archer's bow, a backward C, if you will. And then that curl back on itself is right near Culpeper. That's what we call the northern bookend vortex. Essentially, the northern part of the squall line curls back on itself, takes on some counterclockwise circulation, and the potential exists for that to snake down to the ground in the form of a tornado. Thus far, we don't have any confirmation of a tornado. And one thing I'm noticing, too, the wind field getting a little more broad, a little more diffuse. I'm not seeing that tight rotation we saw earlier on. But that said, still likely strong straight line winds near Culpeper, gusting upwards about, I'd say, 50 miles per hour, perhaps more in that lighter blue shading right here near and east of the city, eventually moving towards northern Culpeper County. So next in line, Catalpa, eventually Rixieville, and areas along looks like 625 west of Brandy Station and along Route 15 as well. So everybody in that area, you want to be in shelter, putting as many layers between yourself and the outside world as you possibly can. It's imperative. Just do what we say. Try to make sure you can kind of hunker down the next little while and wait it out. Might only be 15, 20 minutes more this tornado warning is in effect, but the potential exists for something significant with this storm. Again, on days like today, we're not seeing the hulking thunderstorms of 50,000 feet that we sometimes see in the summertime. So don't expect the typical environmental cues. The skies might not look super dark. The skies might not drop big hail. It might not be the super intense downpour first. With these kind of storms, oftentimes the tornadoes are actually rain wrapped if one does form. And you can see exactly why. Look at all this rain kind of swirling around that counterclockwise spin. If there was a tornado, it would likely be right towards the center of your screen, near or west of Catalpa. But look at all that rain across the area. Again, looking at velocity right now. And I'm seeing a couple areas of diffuse spin. It does not look nearly as tight as it did earlier on. But notice kind of the shading of the green right here. The lighter green takes on this sort of a bendy S shape, if you will. This is what we call a QLCS, or a quasi-linear convective system. It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Basically, a squall line with quick forming little kinks in the line, little circulations that can spin up, and any of them could produce a tornado with very short notice today. One thing we've noticed today, we're not having a lot of juice, not much instability. It's not super warm. It's not super humid. The storms aren't super tall. We don't have a ton of fuel, but we have a ton of robust shear, or a change of wind speed and or direction with height. So any storms that grow tall enough feel those changing winds with height, and they try to tap into that in the form of rotation. So that's exactly what we're watching right now near and north of Culpeper. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. And Matt, as we go back to Max 1, we know how hot it was yesterday here across the area and just how intense that heat was. And like you're saying, not quite as warm today. In fact, this morning I saw a little bit of sun, but mainly some cloudy skies. My concern, of course, was the more sun that we would have, the more fuel for the fire, so to speak, to make it fairly unstable. But take a look at this line of storms as it continues right across the entire area that we're speaking about. Not only are we still under the watch until 6, but as Matt pointed out, this is actually continuing over the area where we have the tornado. And you can see there's a lot of intensity in all of this. Here are some of the neighborhoods that are in the path of this, from Warrenton to Gainesville, Burke, Washington, Bowie, and take a look at the times. We're looking at these areas as well getting impacted. Hopefully not with the tornado. Hopefully this will start to die itself out and try to weaken out at some point before it even starts to move forward toward the east, but we're going to have to watch it pretty closely. There's been an awful lot of cloud-to-ground lightning in this, and here's a look at the correlation coefficient. And here, we're not seeing anything that indicates there's anything on the ground, so that's at least a good thing. But however, all the factors are in place and all the elements are there, so this is why we're really concerned about this. And as Matt pointed out, the one thing we want to continue to tell you is that make sure you go to the lowest level of ground that you possibly can. Make sure that you stay away from windows and just stay very safe in all of this, because this event is not over. Matt?
Yeah, most definitely. And one thing, if we can actually pull up Max 3 right now, I want to show folks at home a very interesting signature right now that I think is worth talking about. We're seeing something called spectrum width. Again, we talked about it earlier on. It shows you the amount of chaos in different pixels in terms of the different motions we're seeing in the atmosphere. So you'll notice along the wind shift line on the leading edge of these storms, kind of an orange signature, if you will, marking sort of where the wind is changing direction. But we notice near and just northwest of Catalpa, there's kind of a red bullseye right there. That shows you there's a lot of turbulence in those pixels, which could be something associated with a potential mesocyclone or the spinning part of the storm before producing a possible tornado vortex. If we switch over to velocity, showing us the way that winds are going inside the storm, we see kind of a couplet of lighter blue against darker green right here, northwest of Catalpa in northwestern Culpeper County, at the same place that turbulence in the atmosphere was seen. So what that tells me, there's some rotation there. The radar sensing a lot of turbulence, chaotic motion. So if there was a tornado, it would be just a few miles northwest of Catalpa, looks like near and just west of Route 229, eventually heading a little bit north of 729. So folks near the Nokesville Heating and AC area, the Alum Spring Baptist Church, 633, eventually looks like in the direction of Rixieville Road. Again, that's 729 and 229. You guys are where that circulation is right now and moving in the direction of in the next little while. So it's imperative you seek shelter, lowest floor of whatever building you're in, and avoiding windows, mobile home, vehicle, outdoors. You want to be in a site-built location and protecting yourself from flying debris. Again, we are seeing that rotation kind of intensify a little bit right now, tightening just west of 229 by about a mile or two on the northwestern fringes of Culpeper County. We don't have any storm reports yet, which is good news. And overall, we see this is sort of just the start of this entering our viewing area. We broaden out, we can see in that big yellow box, that's a severe thunderstorm watch for the entire area. The conditions are ripe today for some damaging winds with any storms that do form. That's the concern today, in addition to quick little spin-ups. We're not seeing classic supercell thunderstorms. These are not big rotating storms. These are little kinks in the line, little circulations spinning up along the leading edge of storms. Gwen, I think I heard you. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to tell you the tornado warning has now been canceled.
Awesome.
We are still under the severe thunderstorm warning for the area, as you said, with that polygon with the red line around it, which we're just going to watch carefully because that's a very strong storm. But good news, the tornado warning has now been canceled. So if we take a look here, you can see there still has an awful lot of rainfall associated with this system, an awful lot of strong storms as well. And this has got an awful lot of cloud-to-ground lightning in it. So this is continuing to move its way off to the northeast. So these neighborhoods are still all in the line of fire. It doesn't mean that we won't get another tornado warning or a tornado watch. We're hoping we don't. But the intensity of this squall line here is pretty evident to show that it is full of major, major storms. Take a look at the lightning strikes that are in this. Just unbelievable. But good news is, and we'll go back here to the correlation coefficient, there was nothing here that indicated that anything that was on the ground. And that's at least good news. And now we know that that tornado warning has now been canceled. However, the severe thunderstorm warning is still in place. And we're still under a severe thunderstorm watch as well. I'm just going to query this warning that's here, and that is for Culpeper, Fauquier, and this is until 1 o'clock that the severe thunderstorm warning is still in place there. So once again, all those neighborhoods that are in the line of fire there, and let's kind of query this a little bit and see where some of those neighborhoods are that you do have to be very careful. This is moving in the northeast. So there we have Dale City, Mount Vernon, Washington, Lanham as well, all in the line of fire of that very, very strong storm. Matt?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And once again, it is very important that folks know today what they have to do just to make sure they can get to their safe place if need be at a moment's notice later on today. So again, the circulation has weakened right now. That tornado warning has been allowed to expire, but it's very important folks know that later on today, the environment is ripe for more tornado warnings scattered about the area. We don't know where. It's kind of like playing a game of whack-a-mole. These things spin up very quickly. They spin down very quickly. That's the nature of storms today. So you might not have as much lead time as you ordinarily otherwise would. For now, I think it's safe to go back to normal programming, but later on, if need be, we'll break in once again. Anytime there's a tornado warning, we're here with you. We are watching this with you. And ultimately, Gwen, I think we're good for now, but it's important folks remain in a heightened state of awareness and remain vigilant all day long.
Well, exactly. We're still under a slight risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. So that's something we have to take seriously. I showed everybody that this morning in the yellow area that was indicated on our map, that we are still under a slight risk for severe weather up until about 6 o'clock this evening. So do stay weather aware with us. We'll keep you up to date. This is a great time to download the Fox 5 weather app because you can track it because we have real-time radar there. And of course, I'm on Twitter and Facebook, and definitely will continue to keep you updated as we go along. We'll now return you to your regular programming.